There we go. Now I see it. All right. Today our speaker is Mr. Danny Jackson with the Pittsburgh Promise. Before he joined the Pittsburgh Promise team, he worked with Pittsburgh Public Schools seniors on college and career preparation through the Bloomfield Garfield Corporation. He also earned his Bachelor of Arts and Masters of Education degrees from the University of Notre Dame, the latter of which was completed while teaching fifth grade students for 2 years in South Central Los Angeles, California. He's driven to provide all students with the resources needed for post-secondary success and beyond. Give a warm welcome to our speaker, Danny Jackson. Take it away, Danny.
Thank you. Maddie, that was so nice. Thank you. It's nice to see everybody today. Happy Friday. Hope your school years are off to as good of a start as they can be. Yeah, as Maddie said, my name is Danny. Don't need to call me Mr. Jackson or even Mr. Danny. We'll keep this very informal. My role at the Pittsburgh Promise is to connect students and people in the community with information about our scholarship. That's kind of the long and the short of what I do. So I'm just here today to talk to each of you a little bit about this scholarship opportunity, especially for you juniors or seniors. I'm not sure if we have any in the group today, but you know, as you're getting close to graduation, as you're starting to think about whether you want to go on to college or go on to trade school, you also want to be thinking about how you're going to pay for that, right? So the Pittsburgh Promise is a great opportunity for students who go to school in Pittsburgh Public. It's a great way to kind of, you know, start on that journey to paying for post-secondary ed. So just quick show of hands or quick show of, we'll say a quick show of thumbs. Give me this reaction real quick. How many of you have heard of the Pittsburgh Promise? Students in the crowd. Or if your face is on the screen, you give me one of these too. Cool. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, so literally everybody on this call has heard of the Pittsburgh Promise. Let me then ask you this, students. The Pittsburgh Promise is a scholarship. What is a scholarship? We hear that word all the time, but like, what is a scholarship? What does it actually mean? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute yourself if you feel comfortable, whichever method you prefer. But we hear this word scholarship thrown around, but like, what is a scholarship?
Money that's gifted for college, or it could be for an athletic ability or something.
Definitely.
Like you could play sports real good.
That's definitely one way you can.
Smart.
Yeah, when you're smart, when you earn it through, through sports. You know, one thing you said there is it's money that's gifted. I want you to kind of think of it as money that you earn, right? It's money. It's a scholarship is something that you earn, whether it's through your grades or through, you know, being a great athlete on the field, being in the marching band or being in some club or activity. A scholarship is something that either a school, an institution, or a private organization like the Pittsburgh Promise will give to you based on something that you've earned, right? Something that you've accomplished. And so the Pittsburgh Promise is no different. We are a scholarship. It is money that we are paying on your behalf to help you pay for school, but it's something that you have to earn. And so with that, I'm going to jump into, actually, before I do that, I am curious, what grade levels do we have here today? What grades are you all in? Any freshmen on the call?
I'm a freshman.
Okay, so you're freshmen, sophomores. Okay, looks like some juniors on the call. Anybody a senior? Okay, so you will actually complete the application for this scholarship your senior year. That said, we start actually keeping track of your grades and attendance numbers starting your freshman year. That's going to make a little bit more sense once I get going, but just know, you know, as an underclassman, you don't have to do an application for the Pittsburgh Promise until your senior year. So you'll be seeing me out at your schools whenever you're actually a senior. But for right now, I'm just going to run through some slides, tell you a little bit more about our scholarship, and then open up for a Q&A. I do have other scholarships too that, I'm sorry, my cat is like, she's a little wild today. So anyways, we had some fish for lunch, and like she's just been going nuts ever since. But so if she jumps on the keyboard, I apologize in advance. But once I'm done with the Pittsburgh Promise scholarship info, you know, we'll open up for a little Q&A. And then if you all want to learn about some other scholarship opportunities, I definitely have some good resources to share with you then. So I think I have the ability to share my screen here, but just want to make sure that you all can see this. Just give me a quick thumbs up in the chat or in the Yeah, thank you. Okay, good deal. Boy, sometimes I feel so old because I'm like, I should know how to do this by now, and then I just forget. All right, so Pittsburgh Promise. Again, we are a scholarship opportunity for graduates of Pittsburgh Public Schools and for the district's charter schools. So again, this is something that you are able to earn, and it's a great opportunity for those of you who are thinking about going on to post-secondary education, thinking about going on to college, trade school, whatever. There are 4 things you have to do in order to be eligible. Okay, so there's 4 requirements for the Pittsburgh Promise. The first of which is residency. You have to live in the city of Pittsburgh, Wilkinsburg, or Mount Oliver from day 1 of 9th grade all the way through graduation. So as long as you're in the district, all 4 years of high school, you can check this requirement off. And then again, that includes Wilkinsburg. So any of these 90 neighborhoods, Wilkinsburg or Mount Oliver. Second requirement is enrollment. So you have to attend any of the Pittsburgh public high schools or any of the schools that are chartered by PPS. Same thing, all 4 years of high school, day 1 of 9th grade all the way through. The eligible charter schools include City Charter High School, Urban Pathways Charter School, the Academy on the south side, and Passport Academy in the Strip District. Those would be the 4 charter high schools. And then any of the other public schools across the district, as long as you've attended one of those schools all 4 years of high school, you can check this requirement off as well. The last 2, I think students, you're probably aware of these, or maybe you've heard them at some point, but you've got to graduate with a 90% attendance rate and a 2.5 unweighted grade point average. So what that means is we're not looking at your honors classes. We're not looking at, if you're in an AP class or, an honors class, we're not looking at the weight. We're just looking at the flat GPA of whatever you've earned. And both of those numbers are cumulative. Anybody here know what cumulative means? Just out of curiosity. This word right here. What is a cumulative attendance? Like, what do you think that means? Or what is a cumulative GPA?
A bad attendance?
Not a bad attendance, no.
Average?
No. Average, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Exactly, it is the average over all 4 years of high school. Okay, exactly, Trinity. So I think did you say you were a freshman? Is that right? So I'm just not to call you out at all. I'm not trying to do that. I just want to highlight you for a second. You are a freshman, so we're starting to track your grades and your attendance right now, right? So your Promise eligibility, we're starting to look at that stuff right now. This is averaged over all 4 years of high school. But again, as long as you graduate with an average of a 90% attendance rate and a 2.5 GPA, again, by the time you graduate, you'll meet these 2 requirements, check them both off. So as long as you meet those 4 requirements, you live in the city, you attend a PPS school, and you graduate with that 90% and that 2.5, that qualifies you for our Promise scholarship. So you're eligible for this opportunity. And the beautiful thing about this scholarship is you can take it with you to any school in the state of Pennsylvania. So if you want to go to school all the way in Philadelphia, we have plenty of students who end up going to schools like Temple University, like Lincoln University, Kutztown University, all the way on the other side of the state. Kids take it with them to Penn State University, which is a few hours away. You can take it with you anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania. But I think it's also important to point out, it can be for any 2 or 4 year college or university. So you could take it to CCAC if you wanted for that 2-year school. But you could also use it at trade and technical schools anywhere in the state. So trade schools would be like Pittsburgh Technical College or Rosedale Technical College. Any of those schools that are shorter length programs, as long as they are accredited and accept what's called the Fafsa. I don't know if you all have heard of the Fafsa yet. As long as they meet those requirements, we can make the payment for your scholarship to that school.
Real quick, we had a question in the
sure.
chat. I don't think you can see it while you're
I can't, Maddie, would you mind? That's great. Thank you for monitoring that.
Yeah, sure. Nicoye just asked, is it annual or just 1 year to school?
Such a good question. We're going to get to what you've got to do to stay eligible once you're actually in college, but as long as you stay eligible, you get to use this for 4 years. So for 4 years of college or trade school, that's the amount of time you have to use it. So it is renewable over those 4 years. Does that answer your question? Yep, sure. What's up, Trinity?
So right now I go to Pittsburgh, Milan. So if I was to change a school, that wasn't necessarily in the district, would I still be able? Would I wouldn't be Pittsburgh Promise? Would I?
Unfortunately not. So unless it was, again, one of those high schools that I mentioned before, like let's say you left UPrep and you went to City High, right? You went to that charter school. That would be okay. But if you left UPrep and you went to Penn Hills, that's out of the district. So you would not qualify for the scholarship at that point. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. One other thing I want to point out too, technical schools also extends to things like cosmetology schools. So if you would consider a career, like if you'd want to go to maybe Empire Beauty School or maybe Pittsburgh Barber Academy, schools like that also would qualify for the Pittsburgh Promise money.
So does it also work for private colleges?
Yes, absolutely. So private colleges, public colleges, any and all of the above. The only schools that we don't fund and we would not be able to fund are schools that do not accept the Fafsa. So that would be like Bidwell Training Center is a good example of a local school that they have free training programs, but because all of their programs are free, they don't actually accept the Fafsa. And so our scholarship wouldn't be able to be used for their programs because they don't cost anything. We also don't fund fully online programs. So if you've ever heard of like Phoenix, University of Phoenix is an online university. We don't fund fully online universities. But other than that, yeah, as long as it's a physical building, right, a physical school, has a campus, accepts a FAFSA and is accredited, we can make the payment to that school. Private, public, doesn't matter. 2-year school, 4-year school, trade school, any of the above. Okay. All right, so let's say coming out of high school though, your grade point average doesn't quite meet that 2.5. Let's say coming out of high school, your grades fall somewhere in this range between a 2.0 and a 2.49. You wouldn't qualify for what's called the core Pittsburgh Promise Scholarship. You didn't meet that 2.5 requirement. However, we have this opportunity over at CCAC. This is called our Promise Extension Program. And think of it kind of like a second chance opportunity for students who don't quite meet the GPA coming out of high school. You can still take our full scholarship over to CCAC for your first year of college. And if you succeed at CCAC and earn 18 credits and a 2.0 GPA at CCAC, you would then get our full core scholarship for the next 3 years, okay? So even if coming out of high school, you don't quite meet that GPA requirement, you can still earn the Promise Scholarship by doing your first year over at CCAC through our extension program. You receive the support of what we call a Promise Success Coach. It's kind of like a mentor on campus, somebody to help you through that first year of college because it's a big transition from high school into college. So you get really somebody to help you through every step of the way. They'll help you get your books, schedule your classes, getting a bus pass if you need it, whatever obstacles you're facing, that mentor will kind of guide you through that first year of college. And again, if you earn those 18 credits and a 2.0 GPA, you get our scholarship to go anywhere for the next 3 years of college. Okay. Once you are core eligible, so let's say coming out of high school, you meet all 4 requirements, or you go through the CCAC program that I just mentioned and you become core eligible. Here's what you've got to do to stay eligible. You've got to keep your GPA up. You got to keep your grades above a 2.0, and you have to be considered a full-time student. However that's defined by the school or the program that you've entered, you have to meet that requirement. Typically, that means earning 24 credits for the year. That's kind of how most schools and how the FAFSA actually would calculate what full-time means. But that's just our requirement. So you've got to be a full-time student. Think of it like earning 24 credits for the year, 12 credits each semester. That is what enables you to keep using the Promise Scholarship year after year. Before I move on, how many of you know how many classes 24 credits would be in college? Does anybody have any idea? And I ask this only because if I was in high school, I would have no idea because credits in high school are way different than credits in college. So does anybody want to guess how many classes they think 24 credits means? Yeah, go
3,
for it.
maybe?
Say it one more time. I'm sorry. I think you both talked at the same time. Michael, what did you say? 4 or 3. 4 or 3. Okay.
Nicoya guessed 8 in the chat.
Nicoya says 8. Nicoya, how'd you come up with 8?
I came up with 8 because I started to think, because now, I mean, we do 4 quarters, and I know each of my core classes are credit. So, I mean, you get 4 credits a quarter then. So, wait, no, that's probably wrong. I don't know.
Can I just say, I don't know how you got to it, but you're totally right. I mean, the answer is 8. That's kind of like the magic number of classes you'd want to take for the year to stay eligible, to be a full-time student. Nicoya, give yourself some credit. You know, it came to you. It came to you. However it did, it got there. So one way to think about this is, like, right now, how many classes are you all taking? Like in your high school classes? You taking at least like 5 or 6 core classes, right? Then you've got your electives. So right now, you're all taking probably 7, 8 classes right now, just on your high school schedule. I point that out to say that this seems like a lot, but you're already kind of doing
9 classes.
Yeah, you've got 8 or 9 classes right now, right? In college, you're going to be asked to take about 8 classes for the year. In college, it's usually split up by what are called semesters. So there's 2 semesters usually in the year. You've got a fall semester, and then you've got a spring semester. So if you've got to take 8 classes for the year, if you break that up into 2 semesters, really you're only taking 4 classes in the fall and then 4 classes again in the spring, right? That's kind of what you're shooting for to be a full-time student. And I'm sorry, I couldn't see who was just talking, but if you're taking 8 or 9 classes right now in high school, to stay a full-time student in college, you've only got to take 4 classes at a time. So I point that out just to say you can do it. I mean, a lot of times we look at that number, or we think college is going to be, you know, just too much. It's going to be too crazy, too hard. You can do it. You're doing it right now. So one more thing I wanted to point out before we move on is the number of credits here is, again, 24 credits for the year is what we require to stay eligible. Does anybody know what different kinds of degrees you can earn in college? Like if you want to go to college and you wanted to earn a certain type of degree, has anybody ever heard of?
Bachelor's?
Okay, bachelor's. Awesome. Awesome. Do you know how long a bachelor's degree usually takes, or is supposed to take?
3 to 4 years.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Typically a bachelor's is going to be a 4-year program. If you come into college with some early credits, you know, you took some college credits in high school, that might give you a little bit of a head start, and you might be able to finish in less than 4 years. But my question to you all is this: if a bachelor's degree takes you 4 years to finish, okay? The number of credits you have to earn in order to get to that bachelor's degree is about 120, okay? So if you have to earn 120 credits and you want to graduate in 4 years, how many credits per year should you be trying to take? Let me know if you want me to repeat that. So again, a bachelor's degree, it takes about 120 credits to get that degree. If you want to graduate in 4 years, how many credits per year should you take?
30 to 40?
30. Who said 30?
Me.
I'm snapping.
We both did.
Okay. Snap it up. That's phenomenal. Yeah, so 30 credits per year, that's going to put you on track to graduate on time in 4 years. So even though we require 24 credits to stay eligible, really for you, as you're starting to plan for your college to graduate on time, you want to be really shooting for about 30 credits per year, right? Or if you divide that in half, again, that would be 15 credits each semester. You're really looking at about 5 classes each semester. Does that make sense? Okay, that's what you want to do. Start getting in that mindset of, okay, I want to graduate on time in as short amount of time as possible, because that means you're getting it out and working sooner, you're getting your degree quicker, you're taking on less student loans. You want to graduate as soon as possible. So really for your own sake, think about earning about 30 credits per year. That was a really long, kind of off topic rant, but y'all are on top of it. That's all I gotta say. Okay, now my computer's frozen, I think. There it goes. Okay, just recapping the scholarship here quickly. Here were the 4 requirements that you all know now, you know, like by heart. Y'all know this like the back of your hand, right? You gotta live in the city, Wilkinsburg or Mount Oliver for all 4 years of high school, attend a BPS school all 4 years of high school, and then graduate with that 2.5 unweighted GPA, or at least a 2.0 if you're doing the CCAC extension program. and then meet our attendance requirement of a 90% or higher. All 4 of those things make you eligible for up to $5,000 per year for 4 years of post-secondary ed. So a total of a $20,000 scholarship opportunity. That's what the Pittsburgh Promise provides. For as long as you meet those requirements, this money is yours. I'm not sure what's happening on my screen. Is that happening on your screen as well? That was really, I have no idea what that was. It's not my cat. I can't even blame her for that one. So 2 things I want to highlight just quickly on this page. So we pay up to $5,000 per year. We are what's called a last dollar scholarship. And this won't mean a ton to you until you get near graduation and you start figuring out how you're going to pay for school. But basically, we are the last bit of free financial aid that gets credited to your student account whenever you actually enroll in school. So there's 2 kinds of free financial aid. There's scholarships, but then there's another kind of free aid called grants. If you're eligible for grants and scholarships, that money gets credited to your student account first. And then whatever is left over after all that other free money gets applied, that school will then send us the bill for your scholarship. We'll pay then up to $5,000 of what's left. So if you owe $6,000 after your other free money goes through, we'll pay the full $5,000. If you only owed $3,000 after your other aid went through, we would cover the rest of your bill, and you would, we'd pay the $3,000. Other thing here is there's a 4-year window to use this scholarship. This has been extended to a 5-year window. Due to COVID, a lot of students decided to take this year off just because it wasn't the right time for them or their families to start college. So we've extended this window. There's actually now a 5-year period where you can use your Promise scholarship, but we can only pay for 4 years. So what that means is if you take a year off after high school, you still would have 4 years to use your scholarship. We can still only make 4 years of payments, but you have a 5-year window to do it. That is probably not something that you need to worry about just yet, but I want to put it out there. Any questions about this at all? Okay, a big change with the Pittsburgh Promise. There's been a lot of changes over the years. I'm sure you've heard how it's changed amounts, like the dollar amount has changed. Our scholarship is now stable, so it's going to be at this $5,000 per year amount for the foreseeable future. It's stable now for at least today's 4th graders. So we're good. We're good for a while. It's not going to change by the time any of you graduate. It's going to be $5,000 per year. But this is one of the bigger changes. Whenever you go to college and you want to pay for that college, there's a lot of different costs that come with that school. So there's something called tuition and fees. So that's really just to take the classes and be enrolled at the school. But then there's also room and board. So room and board is to live on campus and to eat the food, right? So to have food and room, basically, is what that means. We can now pay for that. The Pittsburgh Promise used to only be able to cover tuition and fees, but now we can cover your room and board costs as well. And we can also cover your books costs if you're not able to pay for your books, but you have Pittsburgh Promise dollars, we can also pay for your books cost. And again, we are applied to your student account before any loans or anything like that would be applied, or anything out of your own pocket. And then, oh, okay, sorry. I'm just I'm having to drag you all around. I see the faces of 4 of you right now, in a little rectangle on my screen. And so I have to move you around. So I'm not making any sense. It doesn't matter. Anyways, if you get a full ride, let me just go here to bullet point 3. If you have a full ride and your school is totally covered, based on what I just told you, you would receive a scholarship of $0, because if your remaining need was 0, again, we pay up to that remaining need. We would, in theory, pay $0. But now we have this new minimum scholarship as well. So even if you're getting a full ride, everything's totally covered, you would still get $500 credited to your student account each semester by the Pittsburgh Promise, $1,000 per year. And then because you would still have $4,000 left over, you could then use that money to take summer classes if you wanted. That's another way you can still use your Pittsburgh Promise dollars. Okay, if you're a visual person, again, this is just kind of really emphasizing the point when our scholarship gets paid. You all are underclassmen. You don't need to really worry about this yet. But again, just know that we are the last bit of free money that gets applied to your account. Okay, so after other grants, scholarships, anything from the Fafsa or what's called the FIA, which is from the state of Pennsylvania. Any other grants or scholarships, that gets deducted from your total cost first, and then we are paid last. At that point, if you still have some money left over that you need to cover, that's whenever you would start thinking about student loans, paying out of pocket, setting up a payment plan, things like that. Okay, moving on. We have this new program that just started in 2018 that we are really excited about. This is called our Preferred College Partners Program. And so if you look up here, these 35-ish schools that are listed, they have all signed an agreement that basically says, if you're a Pittsburgh Promise student and you come to our school with Pittsburgh Promise money, we will give you an additional housing award just for coming with Pittsburgh Promise money. So all of these schools have pledged an additional minimum $2,000 per year just toward your housing costs on top of what we're paying for the $5,000. So if you decide to go to Slippery Rock University, right, and you want to live on campus there, Slippery Rock is pledging a $2,000 per year renewable scholarship just for coming with Pittsburgh Promise dollars. So you would get our $5,000, Slippery Rock's pledging you another $2,000 just for being Pittsburgh Promise. It's really like turning into a $7,000 per year scholarship as opposed to $5,000. So yeah, if you're interested in thinking about going to any of these schools, definitely know that if you decide to go there, you're getting extra money. And we like that, right? Anytime you're talking about free money, grants or scholarships, you want to take advantage of it. Any questions about this? Any of these schools? This list might grow by the time you all graduate, by the way. It's been growing each year. We're hopeful to get other schools like Temple University on here, Lincoln University on here. Hopefully Pitt at some point comes on. They have not yet, but this is the list as of today. We do have a virtual college fair coming up. This is geared towards seniors, but for any of you juniors that are on the call, if you do want to join for the college fair, you're more than welcome to. I can share this out with Ms. Carla, with Maddie, with Jeremy. If you all want, you can definitely share it with your group. We'd love to have students register. It's virtual, it's all online. It's gonna be on Thursday, October 22nd from 3 to 7. Students do have to register ahead of time, but once you register, we'll send to you kind of like a brochure where you can pick which sessions you want to sit in on. So there will be real admissions people on for those 4 hours answering students' questions. And basically you'll get to bounce around to all the different booths as much as you want and really meet with admissions people. So I'll share that opportunity out. And if any students want to meet some admissions people and learn about different schools, you're more than welcome to join us. Here's a great opportunity, a great way to get a head start on your college degree. You have the ability to use your Pittsburgh Promise dollars early through our dual enrollment courses at CCAC. So each semester, you are welcome to take one class over at CCAC using your Pittsburgh Promise dollars early to pay for it. So this is, again, it's an advance on your Promise dollars. So you know how we said there's that $20,000 total scholarship that you have for the Pittsburgh Promise? If you decide to take a dual enrollment class and it costs maybe $500 at CCAC, that $500 would come out of that $20,000 scholarship. So it's just an advance on your Promise scholarship so that you can take an early college class. A lot of reasons though to take a dual enrollment class. Some of those reasons include CCAC is super affordable. If you compare one class at CCAC with one class at any 4-year college, CCAC costs, I think, about $500 for one class. That same class at a 4-year school is going to cost closer to $2,000. So it's a great way to save some money, to earn some early college credits. Again, we talked about that, wanting to get a head start on earning your degree. So this would be a way to earn some credits before you graduate high school, which helps toward that degree. And then also, if you're not sure if college is for you, this would be a great way to find out, right? Taking a college class early while you're still in high school might give you an idea of whether or not college is right for you. So if you are interested in taking a dual enrollment class, the only requirements you have to meet are the residency and the enrollment pieces. So we don't look at your GPA. We do not look at your attendance. If you think, maybe I want to try out a college class, you're more than welcome to do that by taking one of these dual enrollment classes through CCAC. If you are interested, again, I can share this out too with staff. I'll give you there's just a release form that students would need to sign. and then get back to us, that gives us permission to release your scholarship to pay for it. So it's pretty easy to sign up for a dual enrollment class. The deadline for the coming spring semester would be November 15th. And you have to be in 11th or 12th grade to take one of these classes. Trinity, do you have a question? I'm sorry. I thought maybe you were starting to say
Never
something.
mind. You just answered it.
Yeah, not yet. A couple years for you. Okay, going into the fall of your junior year is whenever you'll be able to start taking these. All right. We do require a completed FAFSA each and every year. How many of you have heard of the FAFSA? Just let's see the thumbs real quick. Give me that reaction. Okay. Okay, nice. Dang, you guys are on top of it. That's fantastic. The fact that you're so familiar with the FAFSA, that is the most important application for paying for college that you will fill out. The FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. A lot of key words there. The most important word there is free. It is a free application to complete, and it comes from the federal government. So it comes from like Washington, D.C., right? You can become eligible for grants from the federal government called Pell Grants that can help you pay for school. It also makes you eligible for different loans from the government that are much better than like loans from a bank to pay for school. That's getting into the weeds already. But just know that if you do want the Pittsburgh Promise Scholarship, we do require a completed FAFSA every single year. So that has to be a task that you complete. Do it anyway, but definitely do it if you want your Pittsburgh Promise dollars. It does open up on October 1st. Nobody in here is a senior, I don't think, but it's October 1st every single year. So for those of you who are underclassmen, mark this day in your calendar. You'll get a million reminders, I'm sure, as you go into your senior year. But October 1st every single year is whenever the FAFSA is available. Deadline is usually May 1st, but something to get in the habit of is checking with the colleges that you're applying to. Every school has a different process for this. They might have an earlier deadline. Some schools want your FAFSA to be done in February. Some schools are, in August. Like CCAC, I think, is not until August. So just check with the schools that you're applying to when the deadline is, and always make sure you're checking in and getting things in on time. Okay, so nobody here is a senior, but just to take you through this application, I mentioned earlier, you'll actually apply for the Pittsburgh Promise when you become a senior. So senior year, look forward to seeing me. Maybe I'll come back here and work with y'all whenever you're ready to complete the application, but it's pretty straightforward. Here's the website. Here are the steps. There's really 3 steps to it. We give you your username and password. It's not your PPS ID. It's what our system makes for you. But you use that information to log in. You update some contact information for us. You give us permission to talk to your colleges by signing a release form. And then you tell us which schools you're thinking about going to. You tell us where you're interested in going to school. At that point, you're done. That's it. What you can do right now, though, is to keep your grades up, to keep your attendance up. That's the most important thing. You'll actually apply for the scholarship your senior year, okay? And then again, as long as you meet those 4 requirements, you would be eligible. And we will make the scholarship payment $5,000 per year for 4 years of college for you. Questions? Anything at all?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Some of our seniors or graduates from last year, when they get to school, when do they find out, or what date is the promise money delivered to the school? Because it seems like it's a little later because it is that last, last dollar scholarship.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're totally right, Ms. Carla. And it can be definitely frustrating and nerve-wracking and scary for parents and students because it sometimes takes a while to get there. We have to wait for the schools to send us the bill. So like once the school processes the student's FAFSA and they process any other aid that the student's eligible for, they then should send us the bill, as soon as they can. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than we would like. For whatever reason, some schools it's been really tough to get the billing squared away with schools this year. I'm not sure why, but we've been a little bit later than usual, as you pointed out. But the scholarship is always paid, we say by mid-semester each year. So because we are that last dollar though, we are a little bit at the mercy of when the bill actually gets sent to us. But as long as students are eligible, again, they meet those 4 requirements and they added the school onto their application, the scholarship will go through. It's just a matter of when. Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately, it's so much of it is just a matter of timing, right? And when we actually get that bill.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And in the chat, Danielle just asked, is there any scholarship opportunity information?
Outside of the Pittsburgh Promise that we just went over?
I think that's what she's referring to.
I'm happy to talk a little or share a little bit more about different local opportunities, especially. We can do that in just a second. But if anybody had any questions about the Pittsburgh Promise, feel free to unmute, put it in the chat, whatever. But otherwise, feel free to connect with us. We just launched our Instagram page. Finally, we just launched an Instagram 2 days ago. So follow us for updates about the scholarship, updates about good, different college fairs, things like that we've got going on. Feel free to write down my email address. Oh.
Trinity, is your hand up? Or is that
no?
Okay.
Yeah, that was from before. I don't even remember my question.
I'm sorry, Trinity. It's because I talk so much. All right, I'm gonna exit out of there.
Okay. So my question is, if a student does not meet the promise requirements because of a specific situation during high school, should they still apply? And what if they're turned out?
This is a great question, and I'm so glad you brought it up, Ms. Carla. Thank you. I talked so much just now, and I totally forgot to talk about our appeals process. So we know that things happen outside of your control a lot of times whenever you're in high school, right? I had a student one time let me know that they were marked absent a lot during their freshman year because they had to wait for their little brother to get on the bus every day for school. But the little brother's bus came later than they had to be at school, right? So by the time they left their little brother on the bus and got to school, they were late. That counted them absent like every day. And so their attendance number was way down. Like they were way beneath the 90% attendance, right? Because of what happened their freshman year. So we have what's called an appeals process for situations like that. It's right within your Pittsburgh Promise application. So whenever you log in as a senior, you can write to us what's called an appeal. And basically what that appeal is you telling us your story, giving us some context for those numbers, because all I see on my end is the GPA. All I see is the attendance. You have the ability to tell your story through that appeal. And what that does is it gives me the opportunity to kind of advocate for you, to try to make a push to overturn your ineligibility status. So yes, we do have this process called the appeal for students who are facing hardship. It doesn't have to be just attendance either. It could be grades, right? Maybe you had a really just bad junior year, like you really didn't get along with your teachers. Maybe you were going through some stuff outside of school that was just really affecting you in the classroom, right? We know that kind of stuff happens. You have the opportunity to tell us in that appeal. Does that answer your question, Ms. Carla? Great.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No problem.
I think that's so important that they, especially in high school, a lot of times at ninth grade, especially with COVID this year, there's a lot of things happening with online. So there could be some challenges this year because remote learning is not what they're used to.
Totally.
But, don't give up. There are people that will listen to that appeal. So we definitely want to make sure they know that information.
Definitely. Yep. And thanks for asking that. That was super important.
So I think all of our students attend. I think Michael is the only one that would not be eligible for Pittsburgh Promise. I'm sorry, Michael, because he doesn't go to one of the charter schools. And I missed when you were listing the 4. I know it's Urban Pathways, City High. I heard Passport Academy or something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Used to be Hill House Passport Academy. It's now just Passport Academy.
Right.
And then the last would be the Academy on the south side.
Okay.
Which I'm less familiar with that school, but yeah, those would be the 4. Yeah,
I've not heard of that one either. So
unfortunately, the Propel Network is not eligible for the scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's so many Pittsburgh public school kids, well, from that district that attend that school. So
yeah. And I'm not sure what the reasoning is, because I know that like Propel has an agreement with the district too. They are, I thought that they were maybe chartered by the district. I'm not sure why our scholarship doesn't extend to like Propel Northside, for instance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Actually, yeah, I just learned that fairly recently, that Propel was not.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that one out actually. But I do want to invite Michael, even if you aren't going to be eligible for our scholarship, if you do want to attend this college fair and meet with some college reps, if you have any interest in like meeting, I don't know, Slippery Rock or IUP, or meeting with admissions reps from any of the schools that were on that list that I sent you, or that I showed you earlier, feel free to register for our fair. It's all virtual. Like I said, you are more than welcome to join us. You don't have to be a Pittsburgh Promise student to be on a virtual call, right? So feel free to join and get some college information that way. I can also include some other really great local scholarship resources. I'm sure you cover this throughout the year because this program is awesome. But the Pittsburgh Foundation has a lot of really good scholarship opportunities for students. You don't have to be a PPS student to apply for Pittsburgh Foundation scholarships. I can include that link in the chat as well. Definitely would encourage you all to look at those ones. I think my biggest piece of advice for scholarships is to start local and to not overwhelm yourself. And what I mean by that is don't wait until the April of your senior year to start applying for scholarships, right? Even for you underclassmen, you can start applying for scholarships right now. There are scholarships out there for freshmen, Trinity. There are scholarships out there for you juniors, for you sophomores. So definitely, I would encourage you to make it a goal for yourself. Set this internal goal. Maybe apply for 2 scholarships per month. That's it, right? At the end, like by the end of each month, you want to have at least 2 to 4 scholarships sent in. And then if you start doing that every month, by the time you graduate high school, think of how many that adds up to, right? As opposed to waiting until, again, the spring of your senior year. Then it's like, oh no, what am I going to do? I got to cram and I got to send in all these applications. Give yourself a break, spread it out over time, and apply for just a couple per month. That's what I would recommend.
And I think one of the things that we learned, or I learned this year, my daughter graduated, is when you're applying for scholarships, the scholarship people want, the people awarding them or the organizations awarding them want to immediately say that they're for tuition. But if your school offers you a tuition scholarship, they will reduce what they're offering you to accommodate that other scholarship. So we had a situation where our church gave our daughter a scholarship and they normally send it out and it says tuition. Well, that $2,500 would have came off of what Ohio State was giving her. If it would have, I'm like, you could just send the check and it has to say, just her name, wherever the need, just her name. But if they specifically put in a memo or in a letter that is for tuition only, if the school's giving you money, they will reduce that dollar amount. Yeah. And all these years doing this, I never knew that. And, so you want to be in touch with your scholarship awardees to let them know that they just put your name on there or wherever the need is so that it doesn't reduce what the school is offering.
That's a really great point. Yeah. And I know that we face that sometimes too. We hear that students have their scholarships reduced because the school knows that this outside scholarship, the Pittsburgh Promise, is coming with them.
Yeah. And that's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not fair to the kid. It's not fair to the kid. And goodness gracious, they earned that scholarship that you're offering them, institution. So why would you take that away from them just because they also earned our scholarship? So that's something that we certainly try to fight against as much as we can. Yeah. That's a great tip though, to encourage whoever the awarding organization is or church or whomever, to not earmark it for something specific. Just have it, on behalf of this student.
Exactly. Yeah. And also when you all get scholarships, thank the person or the organization sending them. That is beyond important. My daughter, and I'm sorry, I'm like proud mom this year, but she got a scholarship from oh gosh, like Penn Hill's education fund, and it was $1,000. And when she got the scholarship, she sent out a thank you card. You know, these are my plans. This is what I'm doing. And when they sent the check, they said, you know, we really appreciate hearing from you. There was another person that wanted to donate to the scholarship fund, so we're giving you an additional $500. So you never know. I'm that person. I want to, you know, give that little extra boost or that extra thank you note where, you know, a lot of times it's like, okay, I wrote the essay. That's all I need to do. You can stay in touch with those people while you're in school or those organizations. I know the Rotary Club here in Penn Hills, they were like, they sent one of their students awardees, like 2 years later, they gave her an additional $2,000 to go and do a semester abroad. So sometimes you might even have to come back to those scholarship organizations to ask for more money. So it's always good to have a good relationship.
Great advice. Yeah,
tips.
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's just some tips.
Ms.
So.
Carla, how many scholarships did your daughter get exactly, like in total?
Including Ohio State, she got 12.
What?
Yeah, she got 12. She applied for scholarships like it was a part-time job. I told you all.
Yeah.
I mean, and what she also did, and what a lot of times, I mean, you're not in school now, but we have some 11th graders that might be, you know, that will be seniors next year. I also, because I've been doing this for so long, I encouraged her to volunteer in the counselor's office. So every scholarship that comes to that school goes to the counselor's office. They're the ones that contact the students, that, you know, post them on the board and all that other stuff. Well, if you don't get into that counselor's office, you may not know what's there. So she was posting things online, I mean, on the bulletin board, and she's like, oh, well, I'm going to apply for this. So she would almost be the first person to apply for things. And then one night, her counselor said, this came in late. I want you to apply for it. And it was the NBC Comcast scholarship, and she got it. So, and that's a regional scholarship. So you want to make sure that you know your counselor. That should be your best friend. Beginning of 12th grade, they should know you before that. But make sure that you're visiting that counselor's office. If you have the ability to volunteer during a study hall, go in and help if you have those office skills, because it's just filing. You know, she got to help out with report cards and, you know, making sure that everything was ready for graduation before COVID. But a lot of her scholarships that came from the school, I would say at least 75 to 80% came directly from the high school. So that's definitely something you want to do if it's in your schedule and you're able to do that. So yeah, you have to be proactive and get those letters of recommendations and keep the original copy. Ask for your counselor, you know, whoever you're asking for that recommendation, to just send it. And it's like to scholarship committee or to admissions department, so that you can, you know, send it wherever you want and not have to ask that person to keep putting a different school or a different organization on there. Organization is the key.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely. I wish I had somebody like, Miss Carla, I wish I was in your program whenever I was in high school. My goodness gracious.
You know what? I tell people that all the time. And as you can see, the doors are not bulging open, but I always say, you know, there's a method to our madness. We do things for a reason, and we want them to be successful. So listen, you know, participate. It helps.
Absolutely. I'm sure kids who come through this program are doing well. And that's great. Yeah.
Our seniors last year got up to $5,000 after they had graduated, after we had given them gifts. And then we had an individual donor or organization, foundation, that wanted to provide additional scholarships for them. So they received laptops, software, the warranty for their laptop, book bag, everything. And we paid for tuition. So
what?
It was a COVID scholarship, and we weren't even aware of it until late June. So it was there's definitely some advantages and some things we don't even know about. I mean, I would have never even thought to ask for that type of money. I thought what the organization was already doing was fine, and they approached us. So you know, when things like that come available, we're definitely excited to be able to offer that to our students and our graduates.
For sure. Well, that's a testament, I think, to the great work that you're all doing here too. They wouldn't just give that to any organization if they didn't believe in your mission and you know, how you're setting kids up for success. So
we're trying. We're definitely
great.
trying. Yeah. So this group, you know, this is a portion of our kids, but I'm excited about, you know, our 11th graders this year. I mean, it's remote and it's COVID time, but they still have a lot to look forward to. And, you know, we're just trying to provide information, you know, from your organization and others like yours to help set them up for success as well.
Great. Well, anytime you would like us to come back or, you know, to do smaller sessions or whatever, you know, yes. Maybe we can be in person at some point, hopefully. Fingers crossed there.
Exactly.
Keep us in the loop.
We would hope so.
Yeah, feel free to shoot me an email anytime. Happy to come back. This was fun. This is great to meet all of you students. Thank you all for just being awesome and for being here. Hope you all have a great weekend. Is there anything else that you'd like me to talk about, Ms. Carla, or cover here?
I think you covered a lot of the information. I mean, I really, you know, we want to make sure that they know about the promise early so that they can miss some of the pitfalls going through. And we, you know, since Pittsburgh Promise started, I think it was 2008 or 2010, all of our students have received it 100% of the time. I refuse to, you know, let that opportunity slip through. And we've even had some ambassadors come through our program as a Pittsburgh Promise ambassador. Nice. So we want to, you know, make sure that every dime that's out there, we want them to get it. So we appreciate you in the work that, you know, the Pittsburgh Promise does for Pittsburgh Public School kids. It's amazing. I wish, you know, when my son graduated and when I first started school to career, it would have been so helpful, you know, 20 years ago for this scholarship to exist. So I really appreciate all your hard work.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we're happy to do it. We're lucky to do it. That's the way that I really feel. So great. Well, students, if any of you had any further questions, hopefully you were able to get my email address. If not, I'm sure Ms. Carla and Maddie and Mr. Jeremy can share it out. But it was great to meet you all again.
Thank you.
Have an awesome weekend. Thanks so much. And you all take care. Stay safe.
Thanks, Mr.
All right, you do the same. Thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So guys, let me stop recording. Before you go,